Welcome back to Proper Madness. I am happy to have you back if you're a returning listener. If you're a new listener, my name is Sabby, and I have a very unique perspective on mental health. I believe wholeheartedly that we can turn anything that we have been through and alchemize it into bettering ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It helps you feel less alone, to know and understand that the way out is always through the eye of the storm. Grab a cup of tea. If you're not a tea drinker, grab your coffee, and let's sit down and tune into ourselves so that we can learn to connect to other people. We never know the weight of our words and how they might help someone. I think sometimes when we are seeking clarity, we're seeking answers and aha moments and epiphanies from people and situations that are outside of ourselves. And about 90% of the time when that happens, I have to make sure everything's recording because sometimes it doesn't do it. But the more we try to look for the answers of what we should do, who we should be, how we should show up in the world, the less we're actually going to find it. It's kind of like that. I mean, for as long as I can remember, I've always tried really hard to find answers of what I should do in any given way in my life, my relationships, my career, who I am, how I'm showing up from other people. I've always sought the advice from the people that I admire, the people that I look up to, the people that I know are successful in their own ways. And I love that I do that. I love that I surround myself with people who are going places in life and are so connected to themselves that it does nothing but allow me to do the same. But sometimes that can be very dangerous. And I don't mean connecting with people can be dangerous. I mean, if we're always searching, if we're always looking, if we're always asking, if we're always chasing and seeking the advice and the answers from what is outside of us, we're never actually going to get clear on our own answers, our own truth, our own selves, our own intuitive guidance. Your intuition is your deep inner knowing of divine wisdom that has been given to you, planted inside of you, for you to carry and embody to lead you to the life that you want and that you might already have. I've been getting big into manifestation, reprogramming my subconscious mind, and understanding why I have certain belief patterns and behaviors that allow me to self-sabotage what I want in life, or what I might already have, or new opportunities that present themselves to me. If we're so focused on trying to show up perfectly, on trying to do something perfectly, on trying to be the perfect person, it's not going to happen that way because we're not meant to be perfect. We aren't. I can sit here and put the perfect lighting on, the perfect mic, the perfect camera, all the things, but if I show up messy and I show up unhinged and I show up sassy or a little too masculine or a little too feminine, all those parts of us are allowed to exist at once. All those parts of us are actually here to teach us to unconditionally love every single part of ourselves that we just keep running away from. And sometimes we can do that through other people. We can date other people and be in relationships that we hope will fulfill something within us. And we pray, are they actually going to see me? Is this person finally going to understand me? Am I going to be with someone who actually gets me finally? It's not their job to get you. It's not their job to fully see you. It's not their job to fully understand you. It's your job to fully understand you, to fully see you, and to fully embody who you are. Proper Madness, this podcast, has had so many beautiful lives. It started out as me trying to heal my own mental health holistically because I suffered with PTSD and depression and addiction for most of my life. And then when I was 28 years old, I had one of the darkest moments of my life, and I finally got the help that I needed, and it propelled me into this journey of self-discovery, healing, embodiment, anything, whatever you want to call it. And in those moments, I was always trying to fix myself. I was always trying to become. I was always trying to do. I was always trying to heal. I was always trying to search. But the key word in that sentence is try. I've been creatively burnt out for a week and a half, and I just started my own business. I studied film, marketing, and creative writing, and I decided, you know what? I'm fully just going to dive into my purpose, which is visual storytelling, marketing, whatever you want to call it. I hate the word marketing, I'll be honest, I really do. I studied marketing in college, but I hate that word because marketing to me feels like I'm doing something. It feels like I'm chasing outside of me. It feels like I'm trying to market, I'm trying to sell myself. But if I have learned anything in my career, it's that storytelling trumps marketing any day. Some can say it's one and the same, and it depends on how you approach it, fine. But that's the business I've started. I'm rewiring what it's like to market ourselves and instead teach us how to tell a story about who we are. I've been so blessed to already have clients this month of portraits and videography and visual storytelling, documentary. And you know what they all have in common? And is these are all people who already know themselves, already know who they are, but they just need some help in having someone else hold up a mirror to them to show them who they really are. And that's the business I started, and that's what my platform is, and that's what Proper Madness is. It's always been a mirror to you, to me, to anyone who listens, anyone who watches, to show us our blind spots, but also show us who we already are. And for me to show you, if I can overcome some of the craziest traumas, right? Like I had my therapist the other day tell me that she's not surprised that I am the way that I am, as far as like how my mind thinks, how fast I process things, how sensitive I am, how analytical I am. Because I've been through more trauma than any normal person. I'm sure there's definitely other people like me out there. But the difference is I always overcame it. I never allowed my trauma to be an excuse. I never allowed my pain to be a reason to treat people poorly or a reason for me to stay in a victim mindset. I would stay there for a little bit. But the amount of times I should have been dead and not alive, that have been divinely timed where somehow I lived, wasn't just because there was a divine intervention. Divine interventions come to us, but it's up to us to actually take the action to do something about it. And every time I did something about it. And so if you're watching this and you're sitting there in pity city, feeling bad for yourself, telling yourself you can't do something, telling yourself you can't take the leap of faith, you can. I used to be a completely different person, and the only reason why I'm still here and I'm still trying and I'm still showing up is because I unconditionally have learned and am still learning to love myself. Every part. Every single part. Because I don't regret who I was. I don't regret what I've done. I don't regret who I've hurt. I don't regret any of that. You want to know why? Because I'm a human being. And I've never done anything maliciously. And I used to sit here and feel bad and get upset and angry at myself. And be paranoid of like, oh my God, who's going to come cancel me? Come do it. Do it. Because I fully take ownership of my mistakes. I do. Because I fully take ownership of me. And there's going to be people in your life who try to scare you from telling your story. Because they're scared of hearing something that they may not want to hear. They're scared of being reflected back how they've shown up in your story. I've said this so many times. We've always been the villain and the hero in so many people's stories. You don't have to pick. You don't have to categorize yourself. You don't have to take your identity and make it your mistakes or make it your wins. Because they all are allowed to coexist. So if we're coexisting in that beautiful moment where we allow all parts of ourselves to be okay, to be whole, that's where the magic happens. And that's where real storytelling can come into play. My dad always used to tell me, Sabby, I think people would relate to you more if you actually told them who you were instead of trying to pretend to be a version of who you think people want you to be. I always used to get so mad at him. I was like, no, I'm showing up as me. In that moment, yeah, sure, plenty of times. Like, I was as authentic as I was in that moment because I didn't know any better. But as I took a step back, I realized, like, the real story is of resilience. Is of some crazy amount of self-love that I didn't even recognize. Of divine interventions that, truthfully, when they happened, I didn't recognize them till after. And always a decision to be better and to do better. So if you need a sign, and this has come up on your feed for whatever reason, I decided to change my life a month ago and to start pursuing what I enjoy and what I love and to start showing up as me. I've had some bumpy moments along the way, and those are totally okay and human. Give yourself the permission to do the same. Give yourself the permission to be confident. Give yourself the permission to not be too humble. My little brother, who is 8 years younger than me, told me yesterday while we were driving to take our dog to the vet, he goes, you know, you're too humble. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, like, you're such a cool person. He goes, you've done so much. You're so inspiring. How come you don't tell people what you've overcome? And I think it's because I get scared and embarrassed of my own story. And we were talking about, a lot of things like overcoming our own vices. And I told him a story of when I had overdosed on substances. And how in that moment, there was a moment where, and I've talked about this on other people's podcasts, but anytime I think back to this moment, it was like my mind and my body made the same conscious decision to change. And so when I had that moment where I OD'd the second time, for me, it was a moment where when I came to, and I should not have come to, because I remember talking about this to my therapist and she was like, you should have been like, gone, bye-bye, good night. It's like, yeah. But that divine intervention struck where I was on the bathroom floor. I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror and I went, I'm done. We all have those moments. They may not be as dark and as crazy, but we all have those moments. And if it wasn't for some of those divine intervention things that have happened to me that just kept waking me up, or trying to wake me up until finally I actually opened my eyes. The clarity comes when you make the decision and when you decide to take action from the decision. This is where I'm going to leave this episode. Way shorter, but that's all I have to say for now, because it's time for me to start. I can't speak. It's time for me to start showing up more consistently. It's time for me to start showing up for me and for you, and to start telling my story. Probably not like everything, because I'm going to leave that to my first novel. And I already know what it's titled and what it's going to be. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this. And as usual, as I always say on every single podcast, on every single outro, you have to get through the eye of the storm to see the clear day ahead. So stop running from those messy moments. Stop running from the storm and just go through it. Okay. Big sis Sabby is out. That was very aggressive. But I love you, and you got this. And yes, I started my own business. I will put my website in the link of this podcast below. And if you want someone to help you tell your story, I'm here. I love you. Have a good day. That's it. That's all I got. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube or whatever streaming platform you happen to be listening to this on, I encourage you to follow, like, subscribe, and rate this so that it pushes it out to whoever else might need it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you ever want to chat more about anything that this podcast is about, you know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and good old TikTok. And be sure to stay tuned for my Tea Time with Sabby episodes.